Shakespeare to Gaza is a humble artistic response to the genocide unfolding in Gaza. In November 2023, the Ashtar Theatre in Ramallah put out a global call to artists to perform Gaza monologues written by their artists under siege. A searing monologue by Ali entitled From Gaza to Shakespeare is a deep yearning call for Shakespeare to get up and inspire the people of Gaza at this time of darkness and despair. This performance is a response to this monologue. International human rights instruments are failing to intervene in the avalanche of brutality and injustice against Palestinians. We make an offering in the urgency of the moment, with our voices and bodies weaving together Shakespearean works with Gaza monologues as a motive of liberation and resistance. We are a group of artists who have committed to this pro bono. All proceeds and donations will be given to the psychosocial rehabilitation initiative of Ashtar Theatre and Gift of the Givers. And to talk to us about this very, very exciting, very interesting project is one of the cast members and the event organizer, Tariq Jenkins. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the program.
Walaikum salam, Najma. Thank you very much for having me.
Can you please tell us how this was put together and for what reason?
Um, when the Gaza monologues were sent out globally by the Ashtar Theatre, um, a number of organizations responded immediately, including African Artists Against Apartheid, Save Sacred Lands, and the South African Jews for Palestine organization, the PSC. And out of those monologues sprung one particular powerful monologue by an artist named Ali, which was basically a very heartfelt call to Shakespeare. And so, inspired by that monologue, and together, as we also remember the significance of Shakespeare's influence in our own context during apartheid South Africa in the 1960s, a prisoner smuggled the complete works of Shakespeare into the maximum security prison of Robben Island as an inspirational motif of liberation and resistance in that historical moment. Um, and so this in was an extension of the Robben Island Bible within the context of these immediate circumstances here as we are facing them. And so initially, the Gaza monologues were responded to, and here in Cape Town, we also had a ceremonial planting of an olive tree together
Mhm.
with some and Khoi contingents at the Two Rivers Urban Park, which is a place of liberation and resistance in terms of our collective history of resistance as this. And so we've continued this through the Shakespeare Plaza with a group of activist actors, all of whom are also classically trained and have committed to putting on this presentation, where we've weaved some of Shakespeare's most what we would think most poignant pieces with these incredible contributions by artists of the Ashtar Theatre and their Gaza monologues.
I'm so interested in the script, uh, Shakespearean based. What is the narrative?
So, as we understand it, the these plays are timeless, and we've selected very significant texts from well-known Shakespearean plays like Hamlet, Othello, Marcus Julius Caesar, sonnets, and have kind of interwoven within the Gaza monologues. I think these classical texts are timeless, and they also speak very poignantly to to the current set of circumstances. It also allows for a very powerful ritual-based spiritual embodiment of performance in terms of how we are feeling about the situation. And it's our humble response as South African artists and artist activists as well, in terms of putting something together that brings awareness, specifically on the cultural genocide that is unfolding. See theatre institutions, heritage sites being targeted. The Ashtar Theatre, the Freedom Theatre in particular as well, has been ransacked and has some of their leadership abducted by the Israeli authorities. And this is of extreme concern to us, because we know that once um, the cultural and historical heritage, historical and archival essence of a people is being targeted, then this is a sign of the ongoing epistemic violence and ethnocide that is unfolding in this crisis of genocide in the Gaza.
Hmm. You've had your first performance on the 1st of January, and it was a sold out hall. Are you having another performance?
Yes, we were very fortunate. The production has been incredibly well received. We were sold out within the first 7 hours, and then we decided to proceed on a second day at the venue. And it goes to show that on the 31st of last month, as well as the 1st of January, these were the two performance dates, and were were very well attended. Our plan would be to continue with these presentations to raise further awareness and advocacy, for our sisters and brothers in the Gaza, and also, to continue to raise funds for the psychosocial project at the Ashtar Theatre, as well as Freedom Theatre and the Gift of the Givers. We hope to be performing at various significant venues such as the Borkap, the District 6 Museum, and a number of other significant uh, spiritual places in Cape Town.
Mhm.
And there has been an interest of also from other places, cities in South Africa that have got a very strong Palestinian solidarity, uh, solid, support,
Mhm.
that would want to continue to see this production, being shown.
Right. Now, might be rhetorical to be asking what sort of audience did you appeal to, but I'm interested to know if it's your typical, Muslim audience, obviously pro-Palestinians. What have you seen? Has there been a diverse uh, interest and support
Absolutely.
more than anything else? Yeah.
It's a very intersectional situation, because the diversity of the cast, and also typically, in our country, classical theatre tends to be constrained to, a particular kind of classist echelon, and I think this is a protest form of Shakespearean classical theatre, and I think it's timed in a way that's perfect. Therefore, it opens up its audience to a very diverse tributary system that of interest, from um, Muslim audiences across the board to activists, academics, and people who feel deeply about the situation, but are also, um, curious to see how the convergence of this kind of work, would would be presented.
It's wonderful to see that one's using one's passion, and your skills, as it were, um, to express yourself so deeply and so passionately. I think it must be coming across very, very, very strongly, not just in your performances, because you would know as an artist, whenever you perform on stage, there's this role you play, and you deliver. But here there's this innate and very intense need to want to make your voice heard. Have you seen this energy exude in the performances thus far?
Absolutely. The feedback has been very generous. This is not your typical performance. It's really an expression of humanity, um, and done through the ambit of a professional artistic exercise. And I think it's through the discipline of classical theatre, as well as um, this extraordinary set of circumstances that we are faced as human beings, that creates a particular kind of combustion that relates so deeply with the audience that is watching, that in a way it becomes a symbiotic relationship between
Hmm.
the audience and the performer. I think we all feel very, very deeply, and this kind of classical text is the kind of text that can actually hold the intensity and expanse of these kinds of feelings and emotions that we all share as communities, but may not often have the opportunity to express them in their fullest way.
Hmm.
So I think in that way, it certainly generates a particular kind of intensity and power, but ultimately it is a humble giving, um, to show the depth of our solidarity as South Africans. I think we know that we are with our sisters and brothers and brethren in Palestine, not just in terms of our marches, not just in terms of our foreign policy as we try to push to change things, but on an incredibly deep, multidimensional spiritual level. And I think there are elements that um, the artistic expression is able to capture in ways that can demonstrate, our love, and solidarity, um,
Yes,
in that way.
right. Brother Torik, this reminds me of apartheid during the apartheid era in South Africa when we used art as a form of solidarity, and we were banned. Lots of it was banned. And one can see now that South Africa stands out as a country with freedom of speech. You are able to express yourself, and especially when it comes to unifying our cause with the Palestinians, occupied Palestine in Gaza at this stage. I see the similarity. I see that we've united in such a wonderful way that every time I speak to someone about Gaza and their work currently, we see the parallel between what it was like for us during apartheid in South Africa and now what they are suffering. So it clearly, I'm just as you spoke, and I'm imagining what this play looks like. I know that it was like that for us during the struggle here. It was very difficult to actually get that through because you would be speaking to the converted, and I'm
Mhm.
hoping that that this play that you people have put together and produced and performed is going to appeal to the people that need to hear it.
Absolutely. The beautiful thing about this ensemble is it's a collection of activist artists. Some of whom are also in their own right multidisciplinary. Professors, doctors, um, and uh, people who engage on so many levels the struggle in other ways. And I think that the what is coming out is a particular kind of 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 narrative that um, is decolonial, is intersectional, in the sense that it is wanting to invite audiences and spaces which would not ordinarily want to engage with this particular kind of matter. I think it's not just a question of of playing to audiences that are necessarily assumed as sympathetic, but I think it's also going into spaces that would need to be challenged, and allow the work to and the facts to speak for themselves. And so um, I think that. this is certainly part of the intention of what we are doing, but also for you know it is a space that once communed, um, there is this deep sharing that happens, in terms of um, the performance itself, and we hope that it is something that is both challenging. It opens up a lot of questions. It's enlightening, educational, even sometimes confusing. But this is protest theatre, and
Right.
it's up to the audiences to take from it in terms of what they will, and as Shakespeare would say, we try to put the mirror up to nature.
Mm-hmm. Share some light on the part you played.
So, as a cast, as a group, we've collected these uh, particular monologues, and we've shaped them and interspersed them with the Gaza monologues. Um, the roles that I am sort of honored to play, or some of the soliloquies and speeches that I get to perform in this iteration, would include Hamlet, Othello, um, and and one or two sonnets, as well as extracts of the Gaza monologues. There are
Mm-hmm.
also very powerful renditions that are from our fellow cast members, uh, from Titus Andronicus, um, uh, 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 Macbeth, Julius
Mm-hmm.
Caesar, and Henry Fifth. And so, we've chosen quite a diverse range of scenes, which I think really speak to um, a number of key themes that are playing, um, you know, in the situation. Yeah.
Right. When and where can we expect your next performance?
So right now we are finalizing our next venues and times. We have a group of uh, of diverse performers, and so it's also around synchronizing availabilities and so forth. But we do intend on very soon having our next sort of presentations. Um, Happening around the Burkup area, District 6 Museum, and other places. Um, Once the schedule has been finalized, we will be publicizing that, and would encourage everyone to come um, and see this presentation, and support our solidarity with the Ashtar Theatre, um, and the Gaza monologues.
Darkness and despair, quote unquote, sounds very Shakespearean, and I'm sure that's the theme of the play that you are performing in.
I think the play is antithetical in the sense that while we are able to delve into the deep recesses of despair and darkness, that with that comes a
Hope,
kind of,
yes?
yes, a kind
Mm,
of it generates a particular kind of hope.
mm.
Ultimately, it's an expression of 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 deep empathy, but it is also um, themed around "Get Up, Shakespeare." So it is an active um, kind of theatrical production that is geared towards, I think, generating the kind of discourse, generating action, generating a sense of feeling that that will help us activate, towards um, ending uh, the the genocide, towards assisting in terms of how we can, as artists and as activists, in terms of catalyzing the necessary, change that needs to happen in order to secure a safer and better set of circumstances in the region.
Hmm. Personally, I'm a fan of theater and art. I would love to see your performances. However, I think the support for the cause has so much more value, and that is what we're reaching out for. And we hope that you succeed in this very noble venture. And inshallah, the message will reach out loud and clear. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Torik Jenkins.
Shukran, thank you so much, Najma, for having me, and hopefully we'll be able to update you, and hopefully we'll also be able to bring it up to Johannesburg and elsewhere where you'll be able to see it, and many others as well, inshallah.
I look forward to that. I hope soon. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
That was Tariq Jenkins, cast member of Shakespeare to Gaza, and also event organizer. Up next, we speak to Usama Nazal, who is talking to us out of Jenin in the West Bank. He is a journalist based in the West Bank.